Hi guys, so this is the Patreon Q&A. I was really surprised at all the awesome questions I got because I didn't think I would get that many questions, so thank you very much. I'm gonna go answer them now. First question is from Sean. He says, what is your favorite Newman's Own product? Now for those of you that don't know, Newman's Own for a while was like an inside joke in my chat. It just started between a few, people that watch my streams. So Newman's Own is a brand that makes salad dressing and apparently a lot more. My favorite product is, I've only had this dressing and the green tea and the pizza that I tried for the first time last night. It was okay. I think my favorite Newman's Own product is the green tea. It's actually pretty good. Mark says, the first question that would come to my mind would be, out of all the Castlevanias you've played, what do you consider to be the most frustrating or even worst part of any of the games? Well, Chronicles as a whole was very frustrating, but probably what I did a video on for Bloodlines, the part where, it's like the screen is like split up and it's like hard to see where you're jumping, and then that spinning staircase, like that's what instantly comes to mind. But I'm sure there's a lot more things that gave me trouble. Elf says, what is the tattoo you have on your arm? You almost never show it. Well, I usually wear jackets when I'm streaming because I'm always cold, but it's an ice cream cone with candy canes. This is my tattoo. It's like a Lisa Frank tattoo that was a line of school supplies, if you don't know, that was popular with the girls in the 80s and early 90s. It was supposed to be pastel, but it's not that well done. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it touched up, removed, covered up. I don't know. I forget I have it. New Wave Junkie asks, what's a fear you had as a child that seems silly now as an adult? For example, I always thought quicksand would be something I'd have to deal with on a frequent basis. That's a tough question. Let me think. Well, I'm trying to think of an answer and I'm having trouble. I'm still kind of afraid of large bodies of water, and I still don't like driving. I used to be very scared of driving growing up. I was like dreading learning how to drive, but I made myself do it. Obviously it doesn't scare me anymore, but it stresses me out. I'm trying to think of a better answer though. You know what, maybe like change. I used to be very afraid of change, and now I live across the country, so I guess I grew out of that fear. Hexagrex says, random questions, none of which you have to answer. Well, I will answer all of the questions. Have you received or tried your Odyssey 2 The Voice yet? Yes, I have. I have received it. Here is the box in all its glory. I know I posted on Instagram because I was just very excited to do it. I haven't had time to try it out yet because I don't... And it just fell out the bottom of the box. I haven't had time to try it out yet. I got flustered. I haven't had time to try it out yet because I've been working on Halloween stuff. It sticks, into the top of the Odyssey 2. So we'll see how it goes. I ordered one more game for it that I didn't have, but I definitely want to do a video on it very soon. Okay, he also asks, any other sweet pickups, and have you looked into Kid Dracula? Could you give us a behind the scenes tour of your setup sometime? Sweet pickups? What have I got recently? So somebody recommended that I get this game because I like Keroppi, I like Sanrio characters. If you don't know what that is, it's like basically what Hello Kitty came from. So this is a game all about Keroppi for Famicom, and I would like to stream it. It's just a cute little platformer. It kind of reminded me of Felix the Cat from what I've seen. So I do want to do a stream on it. I always forget about it. I shouldn't forget. And another fun, I don't know if this would work as a pickup, but I saw this at the grocery store the other day. It's drumsticks for your head. I think it's for like, Thanksgiving, but I thought it'd be funny if I'm streaming Castlevania and I find wall meat, I could put them on my head for like a minute. It sounds really dumb now that I'm explaining it out loud, but that was my thought when I made this purchase in the middle of the night at the grocery store. Have I looked into Kid Dracula? No, not yet. I know the Game Boy game's supposed to be good. So is the NES game. I know people really like it. I would like to play it. Maybe I'll stream that for October because I do want to kind of keep the spooky theme going on for October for my streams. So, You know, maybe I'll eventually do a video on it, but that could be a fun stream to check it out. And your last question is, could you give us a behind the scenes tour of your setup sometime? Yes, I actually want to do that pretty soon. I kind of redid the organization in here, so it makes everything look a little more organized. So I will definitely do a video on that sometime. I just don't know when, but soon. I want to do it. And thank you for asking all those questions, by the way. It made me really happy when I got all those questions from you, Hextragrax, because I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna ask me questions, so thank you. Jared asks, what are some games or accessories you'd love to own but probably won't ever find or afford? I really like this question, and I have an answer. So what I would really like to have, and these are kind of rare, they're called the Red Tent arcade machines. And it's the first way I ever played Super Mario Brothers was on one of those Red Tent arcade machines. It's like, not a cocktail table, it's like you sit down, I'll just put a picture of one, and I really want one of those. I think the side I remember playing is Mario Brothers, and I think the other side was Excite Bike, but I could be wrong. And I really want a Vectrex 3D imager. I would like to get a complete Vectrex library of everything Vectrex. And those are kind of hard to come by, but so those are the two things I would really like. SG has 2 questions. He asks, what was your first / most influential game experience that really lit the fire for you? That's a good question. It's kind of a mixed answer. I guess when I played at my friend's house, the first time I ever played a Super Nintendo, I played Super Mario Brothers. And I loved it. And then I begged my parents for a Super Nintendo, and then I finally got a Super Nintendo. So I guess that game. But then also the first game that I owned for the Super Nintendo was Yoshi's Island, and I just loved looking at it, like everything about it. So maybe both of those games. And you also ask, how much cultural shock have you had moving to the other side of the country? You know, I'm from Southern California, where I know this is gonna sound stereotypical, but it's like, the vibe is just different. It's like, I feel like maybe West Coast is a little more laid back, and then East Coast is just different. People act different, and I can't really put it into words. It's just a different vibe, and I know that's a really shitty answer, but that's the best way I can explain it. Wawa is the first thing that comes to mind. In LA, it's like your convenience store selection is a lot smaller. You just have 7-Eleven. And then on the East Coast, you have all these, like, you have better 24-hour options. Like, you have Wawa, you have Sheetz, you have, what's the other one called? Like, Turkey Hill or something. I think I've been there once. But, like, it's kind of cool. It's like a cool cultural East Coast thing that doesn't exist in LA. Ryder asks, what's your favorite modern game out right now and why? Trying to think of the last thing I played that was modern that I really liked. First thing that comes to mind, I really enjoyed Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And I know that's kind of a cop-out answer because it's done in a retro style, but I really like Mario Maker 2. I think that's really fun. I enjoyed Breath of the Wild when that came out, and I liked the Yoshi game for Switch. But yeah, probably Mario Maker 2. Oh, and Thumper for PS4, that was cool. I want to play that in VR, because I don't have that much experience with VR, but I think that would be really fun. XMonkey76 asks, have you ever played the Sega Saturn, and what do you think of it? I'm trying to think right now, and I don't think I've actually ever played the Saturn. But it's funny you asked that question because I've been wanting to really experiment with more Saturn stuff and educate myself, because that's an area I wasn't exposed to at all growing up. Like, I didn't know anybody with a Saturn, and I never owned one. So that's one area I would like to learn more about. So if you have any game suggestions that you think I would like, let me know, because I'm always down to find new Saturn games, because I don't know any Saturn games. I mean, I know of Saturn games, but I don't know which ones I would like. I know people really like Night into Dreams, so that's probably where I would start, maybe. But I've seen people play Saturn Bomberman, or whatever it's called, and I think that one looks pretty cool. So maybe actually I'd start with Bomberman on Saturn. If I'm saying your name wrong, I'm really sorry. HoloSieve76 says, is there anything else that you'd like to collect besides video games and McDonald's items? Yes, there are actually a lot of things I collect besides McDonald's and video games. Since I was a kid, probably the first thing I ever started to collect was Rainbow Brite memorabilia and merchandise. Rainbow Brite was popular before I was born, but I grew up going to garage sales with my mom and my grandma a lot. So ever since I was little, I collect Rainbow Brite stuff. And it's like not that easy to come by, but with eBay, it's made it a lot easier. I also collect Sailor Moon stuff. I haven't been buying a lot of Sailor Moon stuff as an adult, but I was obsessed with Sailor Moon as a kid. I still have a lot of toys and memorabilia. And actually, I have something right here I bought recently, so that's a lie. I got Sailor V. I just saw this and it was a total impulse purchase, but like, it was just so cool. And I loved Sailor Venus and Sailor V as a kid. So I saw this and I'm like, I need to get that, so. And of course, I also collect vintage Disneyland and Disney World and Epcot stuff. I'm very specific with my Disney memorabilia though. It's usually parks related, and if it's books, it's parks related as well. Jose asks, who are some of your favorite Disney Imagineers and why? Possibly rides and buildings and areas from the Disney parks from yesteryear? That's a really good question, Jose. Let's see. I really like Tony Baxter. He was responsible for things like Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, a lot of mountains, and also Figment and Journey into Imagination, so I really like him. I also really like Bob Gurr. You know, he was responsible for the monorail and Autopia, and you know, he worked with Walt in the beginning. And I also really like Rolly Crump, who I had the pleasure of meeting at his art exhibit. You know, he did a lot of Haunted Mansion and Small World and Tiki Room stuff. He has great art. So Pete has a few questions. His first question is, have you test drove that Intellivision Beam Rider game yet? No, I have not, but I have it right here. I haven't had time to touch my Intellivision, but I actually have it out right now because I'm planning on doing an IntelliVoice video sometime, but then it's like I also want to do the Odyssey 2 voice, so maybe that's too many voice module videos close together. So that's a problem I'm facing. But regardless, I was planning on trying this out when I hook up the Intellivision, so I have it here. I haven't forgotten about it. What's my most memorable Halloween experience? Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind, I was in kindergarten and I really wanted to be the Pink Ranger for Halloween, but I was really tall for my age and I was too tall for the kid Pink Ranger costume, and I was really sad. So I was Princess Jasmine, but I ended up loving that costume and I was Princess Jasmine like 3 years in a row. But there was like multiple different Princess Jasmine costumes. But anyway, I remember being at school in my Princess Jasmine costume, and that year Aladdin came out and like everyone was Aladdin or Jasmine. And it was just, and there's like this giant group photo of all the Jasmines and Aladdins, and I just think that's so funny because it's like I was really bummed about not being able to be Kimberly, but then I was Jasmine and I was probably happier being Jasmine. And sorry if I sound out of breath in this, my asthma just sucks today. Pete also asks, have you ever considered a Nightmare Before Christmas movie or game themed episode, or any strong feelings on it as a whole? I remember my dad took me to see the movie in theaters. I think I was in first grade or kindergarten, and I remember the part with Oogie Boogie Man freaked me out, and so he had to take me out of the theater because I was like really scared. I think it was when he like kidnapped Santa Claus or something. I like didn't like it. But then I remember my grandma got it for me when it came out on video, so this was only a few months later, but for some reason watching it at home, I was fine, and I like loved the music and I loved it. I'm not like a super big Nightmare Before Christmas fan, but I do like it. I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to be Sally for Halloween because it'd be fun to like do the makeup, and I have the hair for it. But I haven't thought about doing a video on it because I don't really know if I have that much to say. What do you dislike about YouTube and Twitching for a living? I'm trying to think of a way to put this into words, and it's like I have various feelings, but it's hard for me to express them. Well, one thing, I don't know if this is something I dislike, it's kind of forced me to constantly have to put myself out there and to like, you know, tweet and Instagram and promote yourself, and like I'm kind of socially, I'm like quiet, you know? It's like I'm not very, what's the word? crazy outgoing person that's like, look at my life, look what I'm doing. But it's like you kind of have to learn to be more comfortable with that side of yourself and like put yourself out there, whether it be like, I gotta make an Instagram post because I haven't done that in a while, or I need to tweet my video. It's like, I go through phases where I'm like, I feel weird about promoting myself or like doing stuff about me, but on the other hand, I'm like, but I have a channel, so it's not really about me, it's about the videos, and it's kind of weird. So I don't know if it's not that I dislike it, it's just like, it's kind of a weird thing. Like sometimes I just think about it too much and then it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if that's even really an answer, but that's just what came to mind. Thank you, Pete, for all those questions. And now Marcus says, do you have any Holy Grail games or systems you would like to have in your collection? So this is kind of like a previous question, but pretty much the same thing. I would like the Vectrex 3D Imager, and I think it would be really awesome to have the Red Tent arcade Super Mario machine. So my final question comes from Giami or Galami. I'm really sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. He asks, what is your favorite console you had when it was relevant? So I guess like, what was my favorite console to enjoy during the time period it was like new? I'm kind of surprising myself with this answer, but I mean, I really enjoyed, like I got the Super Nintendo kind of late in the Super Nintendo's life, but I mean, I didn't really know any different. I was a kid, I really liked it. But when the Wii was out, I remember having a lot of fun, like when new games would come out, like being excited to play them. And like I have really fun memories of like my friends coming over and playing like Wii Sports Resort and Mario Party and stuff. So probably the Wii. And I'm really shocked that's my answer, but that's my answer. All right, so those were all the questions. Thank you so much for asking questions. I've never done a Q&A before, so hopefully that wasn't too painful. I had fun. And thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And feel free to ask me more questions in the comments or just talk to me. I like talking to you guys. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.